will talk about information literacy. What is information literacy? It is a set of abilities requiring individuals to recognize when information is needed and have the ability to locate, evaluate, and use effectively the needed information. So basically, this kind of literacy is a skill of knowing when you need information and being able to find it, judge its reliability, and use it properly to solve problems or answer questions. So how do we cultivate information literacy? One effective framework for cultivating information literacy is the TRAA protocol, which encourages students to evaluate sources using 5 dimensions. Number 1 is we have the T for timeliness. How timely is the information? Students should check whether the source is current. Older material may be outdated or proven false, while more recent sources usually reflect the most accurate and up-to-date knowledge. The second one is we have the R for relevance. Is the information directly related to the topic? A strong source should clearly discuss the subject in depth. If the topic is only mentioned in passing, the source may lack sufficient detail to be useful. The third one is we have A for authority. What are the author's qualifications? Students should ask if the author is recognized and credible in the subject area. If the writer is unknown or has little background in the field, their information should be treated with caution. The last A is we have A for accuracy. Are the claims supported by evidence? Reliable sources cite facts, data, or references from other trustworthy works. A lack of citations or evidence should serve as a warning sign of unreliability. And last, we have P for purpose. What is the source trying to accomplish? Students should evaluate whether the content is informative, persuasive, or biased. If a source is produced to sell something or promote a specific agenda, it should be examined more critically than one based purely on facts. So, for this activity, they are going to practice being detectives of information. Because not everything we read online is reliable, so we need a way to check if a source can be trusted. That's where timeliness, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose comes in. So for this activity, the teacher will give different sources about the play Hamlet. Some are strong and some are weak. And the student's job is to test each one, identify which sources are credible, and explain why. This skill is important because in English, when they write essays or research papers, they need evidence that is trustworthy, not just any article we find online. For the next activity, this is called fact or opinion with textual evidence. So literature often mixes facts and opinions, and as readers, we need to know the difference. So in this activity, the teacher will give them several statements about the story, a specific story entitled Dead Stars. Their task is to decide if each one is a fact or opinion. Then they are going to back it up with a specific line from a story. This helps them to practice supporting ideas with textual evidence and knowing the difference between what is stated and what is interpreted. So for the third activity, this will test their information literacy skills into action by writing a report. They are going to choose a topic like a character analysis or the influence of mythology in literature and gather information from at least 3 credible sources. They are going to check if sources are reliable and make sure to distinguish fact from opinion. Then they will organize their report into introduction, body, and conclusion with proper citations. This activity will help them practice academic writing, which is an important skill in English studies.
Good day, everyone. Now let's talk about media literacy. So, media literacy means knowing how to think carefully about what we see, what we hear, and what we read online. Especially in today's generation where there's a lot of misinformation are being spread out online, and it is very important to acquire this skill since it will make us more smarter and careful in terms of using and sharing information. So, here's 5 strategies for you to acquire this skill. So first, be wary on what you read and post in social media. So it is very important to check based on facts before sharing it online so we don't pass along with wrong and false information. Now, let's proceed to the second one. So, always double check the URL. So, some websites try to trick people by copying the real news sites. That's why it's really important to double check the URL to make sure the information is real and trustworthy. Now, let's proceed to the third one. So, beware of sloppy text. So, if a site looks messy or has a lot of errors or misinformation, it is a sign that the source might not be reliable. So, always check it carefully if it is accurate or not. Next, always stick to reputable sources. So, it is a smart way to know if the information is accurate or not. So going straight to a trusted sources, it will help us to avoid fake or misleading information or misleading sources and sites. Next, always stick to reputable sources. So it is a smart way to know if the information is accurate or not. So going straight to a trusted sources, it will help us to avoid fake or misleading information or misleading sources and sites. Now, I'll be giving you 3 scenarios or 3 examples that highlights the importance of media literacy. So first, reading a news article. So the students will learn how different media can tell the same story in a different ways. So in this way, the student will use their critical thinking skills to know if the article is accurate or not, if it is trustworthy and reliable. And the second one, watching videos like speeches or TED Talks. So as an English majors, it is not new to us to watch speeches. And in this way, the students will learn how to incorporate different forms of media to influence people about how they feel and think. And for the last example, we have checking sources for a school paper. So it may be a research about different languages, and this will help the students to know if the information is correct and for them to check if the websites they use is reliable and accurate. And that's all for media literacy.
Good day, everyone. Now I will discuss digital literacy and its relevance in our daily lives. So to fully understand what digital literacy is, think about how much we rely on technology these days. So in 2025, around 5.56 billion people use the internet worldwide. From managing finances to connecting with their friends or consuming news, digital tools have become essential in modern living. So what is digital literacy? Digital literacy is more than just using technology. It's the ability to effectively find, evaluate, create, and communicate information using digital tools. According to the American Library Association, a digitally literate person has both technical and cognitive skills to process information, utilize technologies effectively, and contribute positively in digital spaces. At its core, digital literacy helps us curate and consume information responsibly, find credible sources, create meaningful content, and connect with communities. So in short, it's knowing how to navigate the digital world with confidence. Now, let's look at some 5 practical ways to cultivate digital literacy. So by applying these strategies, we can navigate the digital world more confidently and make the most out of technology in daily life. So first, experiment with different digital tools and apps. So one way to cultivate digital literacy is by experimenting with different digital tools and applications. So this means trying out various apps, software, or platforms to understand how they work and how they can help us in learning or teaching. So for example, as an English major, I could explore tools like Canva for creating visual lesson materials or Quizlet for interactive quizzes. So by experimenting, we become more comfortable using technology creatively and effectively. Second, stay updated on new technological advancements. So another way is to stay updated on new technological advancements. Technology changes rapidly, and being aware of the latest tools or trends helps us remain effective in the classroom. For instance, following educational blogs or tech news can inform us about new platforms for teaching literature or grammar online. So this way, we can integrate modern methods that engage students and enhance learning. Third, focus on digital platforms most useful to you. So it's also important to focus on the digital platforms that are most useful to us. Instead of trying to learn every tool out there, we should identify the platforms that best support our goals. So for example, an English teacher might focus on Google Classroom for organizing lessons, Padlet for interactive activities, or Grammarly for checking writing assignments. Concentrating on these tools helps us master them and use them effectively in teaching. First, the research detective. So in this activity, we use reputable online databases to find 3 scholarly articles about modern Philippine literature. We summarize each and share our findings in a collaborative online document. So this scenario helps us practice evaluating online sources for credibility and organizing information digitally, which are essential skills for academic research and personal learning. Next is the multimedia storyboard. So here, we create a short digital storyboard or video illustrating a scene from Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. So by adding text, images, and sound to convey the mood and theme. So this allows us to apply digital tools to communicate ideas effectively, while also developing creativity and a deeper understanding of literary works. And finally, the last example, the collaborative online annotation. So in this task, we read the poem My Africa by David Yo in Google Docs. We highlight key literary devices and comment on their meaning. We also respond to at least 2 classmates' comments. So this scenario encourages us to collaborate and communicate safely in digital spaces while practicing critical thinking and literary analysis. Overall, these examples demonstrate that digital literacy for English majors is not just about technology, but about enhancing our ability to think critically, create meaningful content, and interact responsibly online. So all skills that help us succeed as students and future professionals in our field.
Visual literacy is a set of abilities that enables an individual to effectively find, interpret, evaluate, use, and create images and visual media. Visual literacy skills equip a learner to understand and analyze the contextual, cultural, ethical, aesthetic, intellectual, and technical components involved in the production and use of visual materials. A visually literate individual is both a critical consumer of visual media and a competent contributor to a body of shared knowledge and culture. Here are 5 ways or techniques to cultivate visual literacy inside the classroom. First, present photos without captions. 2. Teach graphic design alongside poetry. Third, stop using visual aids. And fourth, stop labeling students as visual learners. And fifth, practice representing serious ideas without words. Present photos without captions. Let students interpret images on their own before being given explanations. This sharpens observation and critical thinking. Teach graphic design alongside poetry. Connect visuals and words. Just as poetry uses rhythm and metaphor, design uses color, space, and balance. Both require interpretation and creativity. Stop using visual aids. Instead of treating images as secondary, treat them as essential tools for communication equal to text. Stop labeling students as visual learners. Everyone needs visual literacy. Labeling limits growth. Visual learning is for all, not just a type of student. Practice representing serious ideas without words. Challenge students to express complex or abstract ideas just like justice or freedom using only images, symbols, or visuals. Symbolizing poetry. The students are tasked to create a visual symbol such as drawing, collage, or digital art after reading the poem entitled The Road Not Taken, reflecting the poem's theme and explain how colors, shapes, or imagery reflect meaning. Visual literacy integrated in this activity is expressing abstract ideas through symbolic imagery. Look, think, reflect. The students are tasked to analyze the mood and symbols in the painting Ophelia, then write a reflective paragraph on its themes. Visual literacy integrated in this activity is connecting visual details to literary themes through writing. Character symbol web. The students are tasked to list a character's traits from the story, The Necklace, and draw a symbol for each, and connect them in a web showing their relationship. Visual literacy integrated in this activity is representing character traits and relationships using symbols.